All right, hi chemistry students. Let's do a couple of examples for the balancing worksheet number 2. So directions: balance the following equations by placing coefficients in front of the chemical formulas. You must have an inventory or a grid. So what that means is you need to show that you have counted the number of each type of atom in the reactants and in the products, and to show that they are equal, that they're balanced. So let's go ahead and do this, and we will separate the reactants on the left from the products on the right. Okay, so we are going to just put them, the inventory, on the left with the reactants. We have sodium is 2. Subscript 2 tells us how many we have. Sulfur is 1. We have oxygen is 4. And carbon is 1. Because we don't have a subscript there, no subscript is understood 1. Okay, on the right hand side with our products, I'm going to put them in the same order so that you guys can see. Sodium, sulfur, oxygen, and carbon. Let's change that. Carbon. So on the product side, we have sodium has a subscript of 2. That means we have 2 of them. Sulfur has no subscript. That means we have 1. Oxygen has a 2 subscript, so we have 2. And carbon has no subscript. That means that we have 1. Okay, so let's see how we have them here. Sodium is 2 and 2, that's balanced. Sulfur is 1 and 1, that's balanced. Oxygen is 4 and 2, that is not balanced. So let's go ahead and balance the oxygen on the right by adding a 2 coefficient. Okay, that is going to change our oxygen. 2 times 2 subscript gives us, now we have the right number of oxygen is 4, balancing with 4 on the left. But when we do this, whenever we put a coefficient, like we put the coefficient right here, it not only changed the oxygen, but it changes everything else as well. So you've got the carbon here, it added more carbon. So now we have 2 times 1 subscript for carbon gives us, oops, I'm changing the wrong one there. Sorry about that. We still have the 1, but it changed the carbon from a 1 to a 2. Okay, so now the carbon has 2 in the products and 1 in the reactants, which you always want to save the singles, the symbols that are by themselves, like carbon right here, because it makes it very easy. I can change the carbon to 2 on this side without changing anything else, and that makes it balanced. We can double check. Na is 2 on the left and 2 on the right. S is 1 on the left, 1 on the right. O is 4 on the left, 4 on the right. And C is 2 on the left and 2 on the right. So that is balanced. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. We've got potassium, 2 of them. We've got oxygen, 1. And we also have oxygen in another place. We have oxygen here and oxygen here, both of them to the left of the arrow. So both of them are reactants. So we have 2 places where we have oxygen. Those add together to give us 2 total oxygens. And then we've got hydrogen, and we've got 2 hydrogens. Okay, as our reactants, again, we have potassium, oxygen, and hydrogen. And on the right-hand side of the arrow, we have one of each. So let's check them. Are they balanced? We've got 2 potassiums on the left and only 1 on the right. That means we're going to have to add a 2 subscript to get more potassium. But then that 2 is also multiplied by the O, gives us 2 oxygen, and the 2 is multiplied by the H, by the hydrogen. So now we have 2 of each one of them, and let's check to see if we're balanced. We've got 2 potassium on the left, 2 on the right, 2 oxygen left, 2 oxygen right, 2 hydrogen left, 2 hydrogen right. That is balanced. Okay, let's take a look at the next one here. Divide the products and the reactants. The reactants on the left, we have lithium, and there is 1 of them. We have oxygen, and we have 1. But I also see we have another oxygen over here, 2. That gives us a total. We add those together, gives us 3 oxygen. We have hydrogen. This one here, we have 1. And we have carbon is 1. Okay. On the right-hand side, we have lithium. I'll put them in order here. Oxygen, hydrogen, and carbon. Here we have 2 lithium. We have oxygen. We have 3 of them here. We have another 1 right here. So a total of 4. Hydrogen, we have 2. And carbon, we have 1. Okay, are we balanced? Lithium is not balanced. Okay, we've got 1 on the left and 2 on the right. We can try to balance lithium by putting a 2 right here. That will give us 2 lithium to balance that. It will also increase 2 times 1 for the oxygen, and that will give us 2 oxygen here instead of 1, which will increase our oxygen to 4. It also increases our hydrogen. 2 times 1 for the hydrogen gives us 2 hydrogen. And let's see if we're balanced here. So we've got 2 lithium in the reactants, 2 in the products, 4 oxygen reactants, 4 in the products, 2 hydrogen, 1 carbon, and 1 carbon. That's a balanced equation. So let's do one more. This is so much fun. Let's just do another one. Maybe we'll do them all. It's so much fun. Okay. So on this equation, we've got calcium. We have 1 calcium. And I wanted to do this one here because we have this parentheses here, okay, which adds another element to the balancing equation and taking the inventory. So we have a 2 subscript, and that 2 applies to everything within the parentheses. So we have oxygen, 2 times, there's no subscript on the O, so that's a 1. That gives us 2 oxygen. And we've got hydrogen. This subscript here, again, the 2 applies to the hydrogen as well. So we've got 2 times 1 gives us 2 hydrogen. Here is our arrow, so that divides the reactants from the products. We also have a hydrogen here, so we're going to add another hydrogen, add them together, gives us a total of 3 hydrogens. And then we have chlorine, and that's 1 chlorine. Okay, in the products, again, we have calcium, we have oxygen, we have hydrogen, and chlorine. Okay, so we've got 1 calcium, we've got 2 chlorine, we have 2 hydrogen, and we have 1 oxygen. Okay. So, are we balanced? We've got 1 calcium on each side, oxygen. We have 2 on the left and 1 on the right. So we can try to balance oxygen to start off with by putting a 2 coefficient in front of the H2O. That will change our oxygen. 2 times 1 will give us 2 oxygen over here. That'll balance that. But it also changes the hydrogen, okay, because we've got H2O. We've got 2 times 2 for the hydrogen is going to give us a change from 2 to 4 hydrogen, okay. What does that do for us? So we're still at 1 calcium. Now we're at 2 and 2 for the oxygen. The hydrogen, we've got 3 hydrogen and 4 hydrogen. So what do we need to do to balance the hydrogen? We need another one here. The chlorine, oh yeah, the chlorine's also not balanced, so it looks like the HCl is going to need more. So to balance the hydrogen, we're putting a 2 here, okay? That's going to add another hydrogen here. That gives us 4 hydrogen, because we went 2 times 1 for the hydrogen, give us 2. And then for the chlorine, we have our coefficient of 2 times 1 for the chlorine will give us 2 chlorine. Okay, so let's check to see. We've got 1 calcium, 1 calcium. We have 2 oxygen, 2 oxygen. We have 4 hydrogen, 4 hydrogen, 2 chlorine, and 2 chlorine. So that's balanced. And I think that'll be good. We've got 4 examples here. We have, looks like a few more through number 12, numbers 5 through 12 for you to do. And if you have questions, contact your chemistry teacher, write emails, and yeah, good luck on this.